Wicked Shizuku's Reviews, bringing you a southern perspective on books, movies, music, and much, much more. Stick around for a while, you just might hear something wicked. Hey again, everyone. Bringing you another episode of Wicked Shizuku's Reviews. So, I'm going to jump into just reading a couple of essays for this particular episode. Screen share. There we go. Alright. My back to school adventure. Rodney Dangerfield sure had it easier in 1986. Do you know any good books? Are you ready for this conversation? It's a pity current college students have replaced the word books with video games. So, when I returned to college at 35, I was at an enormous disadvantage. Most freshmen were starting EH 201 literature courses, while I was required to start everything from a 100 level. I had been writing prose and poetry for so long that I could no longer construct a proper essay. In fact, I really didn't want to because of the superfluous fluff that gets pumped into an essay. I just wanted to get back to learn the publishing process and refine my poetry techniques, maybe even write some books for children's or the young adult genre. While I'm a big fan of the urban fantasy sci-fi genres, I found that I don't like writing them, though I promise I'm practicing. When a new doctor asked for my medical history. This is also what I had to explain to my teachers, my VA counselors, and student disability service counselor. This gets exhausting when you have to do this every semester. This was the most accurate meme I could find. And our little Ajax is singing it to us right now, so forgive him in case you hear it. And Teddy is also calling me. She's wanting to show a trick, so we will show you a trick. Hold on. So, anybody have a kitty that does this? For more videos of Teddy, you can find her on on X. So that was a really strange move. I don't know what to think about that one. What do you think, Teddy? Okay, so getting back to that review, sorry for Teddy's interruption. Okay, so 18-year-olds had new opportunities such as dual enrollment that the class of 2002 weren't privy to except in a few cases, which were limited to Spanish 1 and Biology 1, if my memory serves me correctly. If your child or grandchildren can choose this option, it's an excellent opportunity, and I'm grateful that I was able to take the 100 level courses, though. It was useful by reviewing the basics. I was glad my classmates had the opportunity to get a leg up on college, yet I still can't help but feel jilted by the financial strain that I took on to catch up. And honestly, I didn't realize that I was like Little Red Riding Hood when I was going up against the likes of academia. What big eyes and teeth they have. These universities have little pity or memory for students. It's like their brains are expo marker boards being wiped clean at the end of the semester. Not all of my professors were like this, but many were. The first two classes I took were Political Science 100 and US 10, History 102. This first semester was one of the more stressful. The first question I got wrong was who has the power in the United States? And I answered the commander in chief immediately. My professor turned and asked me, former military or family? And I nodded, and he shook his head and said, no, the power is in the people. And I asked him a question then. But that is not reality when you are married to the military. Everything is reversed. How is the military civilian hierarchy different? I went on to explain to him that the military went back to my grandfather's service in World War II, my father serving in Vietnam, my husband in Afghanistan. There was a metaphorical car crash going on in my mind. I was at a complete loggerheads with this professor the entire semester while I was simultaneously causing grief for my history instructor in the neighboring building. And at times, I'm sure he wanted to carry out this epic scene from Back to School with the Rodney Dangerfield. I put in 12 credit hours of work and effort into 6 credit hours. Both grades were the high 90s when they were posted, but since it was only 2 classes, I wasn't recognized for the dean's or president's list. But that was okay to me because I was no longer under an academic warning for my first attempt at the same college. Um, that's another story for another time. I felt that the sword had been lifted from my neck and I'd passed my first hurdle. And I have a knack for taking some photos, but I don't call myself a photographer, just a chance photo or two, really catches the eye. And this is perspective brought to you by Wicked Shizuku. It's a thought web. They have these little infographics and you use arrows and everything to be able to say this thought goes to here and that thought goes to that with an arrow. Ego on this thought web represents you. This is an important term in anthropology and psychology, both different with differing definitions. And the above thought web is how most Americans perceive how the system is supposed to work and function on a rudimentary scale, mind you. And sadly, it hasn't been this way since the days of FDR, but also argued by historians that it goes as far back as Wilson. However, they are agreed on the previous. Things were different on a global scale, and it's hard to comprehend when you don't travel or have the opportunity to. When I would bring professors' books to question claims from the library on Eisenhower's farewell address, warning the American populace of growing military industrial complex. This would be quickly explained away in a driveling babble of corporate and foreign domestic policy, and it truly makes me fear that the echo chamber that these people inhabit within higher educational settings. I found my biggest challenge is that was was that they weren't teaching me how to learn. Instead, they were telling me what to learn and passing silent judgments on my conservative hippie lifestyle. I was thinking circles around these people who had lots of important letters after their name. This is me. I pretty much in my spare time I was a Goodreads reviewer. And I didn't make not a damn penny off of any of my reviews that I put on Goodreads, and Amazon ripped them from Goodreads and they use them, and I get no compensation whatsoever. It's like I'm persona non grata. I don't know how the hell to fix this. The old email that I used to use for this account is no longer able to be accessed because it was hacked. I don't know how to fix it. It happened during the Equinox shit. Anybody that could help get a Yahoo email retrieved, that'd be great. Uh, uh, Anywho's, enough of my bitching. But this is me. This was before I went back to college, and I was #1 top reviewer. And when I hit this week, yeah, on this particular week, I'd done a lot of freaking really spicy reviews, so to say. But this was like one of the last screenshots that I was able to actually access and get into my Goodreads account. I can't access it anymore. I can update it, like what I've actually read and rate the book, but I'm not putting any reviews up. And I was able to update my avatar picture. I think that's the only couple of things that I might have changed about it. But I accessed through my phone because that was like the last bit of security that I was able to access Goodreads. So I don't actually write for Goodreads anymore, and I was doing that on the freebie. You know, I read this shit so you don't have to, people. You know. Let's see. Yes, taking a few months before I went back to college in the fall of 2017. I was so proud, and I felt I'd reached one of those personal milestones when I made Goodreads Reviewer of the Week. Yeah. So, I stayed my lane, and, wow. Moving on. Though I had accomplished little through Goodreads.com, they shared links to profiles through Facebook, Amazon, and Google, sharing my reviews in their product description reviews without my permission, and I felt I'd been mugged. I was more than willing to share my thoughts freely, but I wasn't even asked or contacted by any of the offending companies involved. Due to this, I halted writing my reviews until I could find a fair platform that also has a more versatile word processor. It comes as a surprise, but I'm sorry, it's late, everyone. But it must come as a surprise to some, but college in the long run hurt me on my intellectual and spiritual journey. In my last semester of 2021, a doctor of Shakespeare admitted that I had read more than he had in his lifetime. While we were the same age, we're vastly different experiences. I became angry with this and left to my own devices. I could have read at least the upper 800 plus range of books. with 3 years instead of the 100 plus textbooks I'd been regulated to. And that's me. Yeah. 4,427 books. I think that's the last one. I'm not sure. That was my most current screenshot, but this essay is quite a few months old. And I gave everybody, there's the Telegram, the blogger, the Anime Planet. I can't access that anymore. That was also hijacked. And there's been stuff that has changed in it, and it's weird, and it's like, I don't think I ever watched that. No, I don't like that. And so if you see anything that is updated on Anime Planet, that is not me anymore. So get in touch with me. You remember who the hell I am. We fucking fought before. Anywho's, yeah, I still do Twitter for my short poetry, but it's been a while. Another little story that just might come out later. Ongoing projects. From Mother to Monsters, articles shall continue on a monthly, sometimes bi-weekly basis. These are mostly pertain to moral quandaries in our culture, philosophical questions, fair criticism of policymaker decisions, and proposal ideas. They will always remain free of charge. Original Wikichizuku book reviews shall soon be returning after a long sojourn and will cover a variety of genres such as children's and juvenile fiction free, young adult bestsellers free, science fiction, thriller, revisiting my previous reads free, paranormal, romance, urban fantasy paid subscription only, political science and pundit memoirs also paid subscription only, literature and poetry analysis sometimes paid subscription. Maybe I might throw you out a poem here and there on Substack, and you'll get that email if you go subscribe there. It's free. History sometimes paid subscription, because some of these books, they get really pricey, and I can't. Money doesn't grow on trees, everyone, and I read this shit so you don't have to. I'll give you a good analysis of the book and what I think is the real meat and potatoes of the meal. I'm not going to waste your damn time on this. Some writers, they just might not like me because of what I'm doing, but writers got to do what they can, and we sharpen each other. So maybe with my constructive feedback slash criticism to some of you writers out there, and how we can make it better, for maybe lifting up morality without having to bring the Lord's name into it all the time. Let's do that. Either in negative or positive connotations of that, of any subscription that you subscribe to. Yeah, this was an older essay, so some lines I'm going to skip for you. Irrelevant. Um. Yep. Thank you for the comment, Miss Moore. 7. I appreciate that. Okay. And on to the next essay that I have lined up for now. It's titled Good Dose of Education and How Do-Gooders Are Ruining It. When I discovered that one of my heroes in the writing world made a cameo appearance in the 1986 movie Back to School, I laughed so hard that my sides hurt and tears streamed from my eyes. It seemed so absurd that Kurt Vonnegut Jr., a powerhouse within the science fiction community, would agree to join a comedy venture. Then I had to stop myself and remember the absurdity of Vonnegut's work. And it completely makes sense. Slaughterhouse-Five, Cat's Cradle, Sirens of Titan, etc., etc. Hi, I'm Kurt Vonnegut. I'm looking for Thornton Mellon. Back to School, 1986. Alright. Look at this. We're here to help students. Alright. Do you see the sign behind Vonnegut that states we're here to help students? It's the type of people who hang these signs up that need to be the first ones fired from academia. Do-gooders with degrees that aren't benefiting society while collecting a bi-weekly check. My children's high school guidance counselor has been more of a help to our family by getting our Medicaid request pushed through after 2 years of a fight with them. The DSS, Disabled Student Services employee at my university, had kept saying, "There's nothing I can do." Many of the problems were caused by the DSS department's miscommunication with the VA office, my professors, and the financial aid office, thus interrupting my return to complete my degrees in history and English. This is Monkey D. Luffy from the anime One Piece. I commonly use this as my Microsoft Teams avatar, which offended quite a few of my professors. Sheesh. No one can take a joke anymore. Like most millennials, much of my education started through the creations brought forth by Walt Disney. The two following animations are examples, while historically inaccurate, were and are wonderful starting points for a child's education and in history and American folk tales. No matter how much the Q movement and the current board of directors have grossly perverted the Disney legacy. And it's Walt Disney Presents Ben and Me. It was done in 1953. And Walt Disney's Paul Bunyan in 1958. And they are adorable. Both of them. They're something that 80s kids all watched and grew up with if you had satellite TV. My family didn't. I actually got these from like a family member that had taped them on a VHS tape. So, to me, these two little clips are pretty special. And I put in a book quiz in this particular essay. I was like, here's a book quiz for you. I was like, it takes you to the 4,427 books that I've read. It's like, it's a ridiculously long quiz for most of the material I read before going back to college. Regardless of my 13 years of self-educated experience, I kept consistently coming up against this problem, though. So you want your free speech limited, because that's what happens when you limit other people's free speech. This goes for both sides of the aisle. I had many professors that were my age that claimed, "Wow, I haven't read that many books." This would have my inner voice screaming in rage, asking, "Why am I here learning from you then?" In a nutshell, it was not just highly offensive. It felt like a theft of services that I was paying thousands per semester for. The only way to learn it is to do it. This is what I often tell my children when they said something was too hard. While I had maybe a handful of truly talented professors, they were outnumbered by an ever increasing number that was more interested in telling students what to think instead of teaching them how to think and reason. There was no room for critical thought and castigating those who do. If I had to do it all over again, I would have attended more SGA, Student Government Association meetings, to push back against the agenda that is rotting out the liberal arts within academia. I consider the lesson learned, though, my negative experiences by pursuing higher education. If you are a parent or grandparent, please reconsider sending your student through higher education unless they wish to pursue a career within the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math fields. The liberal arts are something you can learn on your own with a decent internet connection and without bias. The prizes for books alone are criminal, and the narrative you must attend college to amount to anything must be broken, and that starts with you, the family. Paying $4,000 per semester for the indoctrination that is occurring is a crime against a traditional family values, the students' future prospects for employment, and the society's collective intelligence. So, yeah, expectation is the root of all heartache. William Shakespeare. Until next time, take care of yourselves and be excellent to one another. Yeah. And so I am going to call it for this particular update, so to say. It's been a big old mess. So, I shall turn in and bid you a good night. See you next time.